Late March 2026 arrived, and across the internet, search traffic simply vanished for thousands of webmasters. Pages that had comfortably held page 1 rankings for years disappeared overnight. This diagram maps standard ranking volatility using the December 2025 update as a baseline. You can see a normal adjustment phase, a 66.8% churn rate among the top 3 results, and a 1 in 7 drop-off rate for pages falling out of the top 100 entirely. Now look at the data from the spring rollout. The top 3 churn spikes to 79.5%, and the top 10 experiences an aggressive 90% wipeout. The most severe metric isolates the complete casualties. 1 in 4 pages that were previously ranking on page 1 plummeted past page 10, falling out of the index entirely. These metrics point to a shift in how Google treats the underlying architecture of search. The update targeted the intermediary nodes of the web, the sites that link to information, rather than providing it. To understand the severity of the drop, we have to examine the precise rollout window spanning from late March to April 8, 2026. This timeline charts the sequence of events. First, a major spam update swept across the network, designed to identify and clear low-quality, automated junk from the index. Exactly 24 hours after that initial sweep concluded, Google launched its primary core update. This second wave evaluated the surviving sites. Because the spam update had already removed the bottom tier of results, the core update operated on a completely clean, unobstructed baseline. Executing 2 major algorithmic adjustments back-to-back effectively eliminated all network noise. Domains relying on thin content were left exposed to an unmitigated structural evaluation. A close analysis of Systrix data reveals distinct patterns among the sites that survived the spring rollout and those that collapsed. Aggregator platforms, broad directories, and job boards lost massive visibility, fracturing and collapsing under the weight of the new algorithm. The traffic they lost was immediately absorbed by established entities, verified government sites, and clinical health domains. Mapping these 2 groups reveals a clear algorithmic preference. Official brands and primary sources gained the exact ground that middleman platforms lost. The high-loss domains tracked in the data, the aggregators and broad directories, typically functioned as secondary connectors rather than original data originators. This shift establishes a rigorous new standard for search architecture, primary source SEO. This network graph illustrates the outdated data flow. A user query routes down to a central aggregator node, which then branches out to point the user toward the primary source. For years, broad consumer health blogs thrived by capturing this exact middle traffic, intercepting users looking for clinical data. Job boards operated identically, capturing traffic before the user reached the employer. The update severs these aggregation points, routing around the middleman. A thick vector now connects the searcher directly to the primary source. Google's objective here is structural efficiency. The algorithm is designed to eliminate the middleman and shorten the click distance between the user and the originator of the data. A common misconception about this update is that the algorithm inherently penalizes any site using AI-assisted architecture. The penalty is actually targeted at a specific behavior, the mass production of generic, summarized text published without direct human oversight. Surviving this filter requires injecting proprietary value into your pages, insights, data, and context that algorithmic competitors cannot simply scrape and summarize. This side-by-side comparison shows the difference. On the left, we see standard synthesized text blocks, flagged in red. On the right, the algorithm rewards strong EEAT signals in green, a verified author bio, a unique proprietary data chart, and directly cited expert interviews. The data shows that sites prioritizing mass-produced summaries lost ground to those with verifiable authorship and unique datasets. For a page to maintain visibility under these criteria, it must offer information that cannot be found elsewhere in the index. If a domain experienced a sudden drop in search traffic during the spring rollout, webmasters must execute an immediate diagnostic protocol before rewriting a single page. This analytics graph charts a domain's traffic loss. The first step is to pinpoint the exact date the plunge occurred, such as the steep drop marked here on March 24th. A severe loss of impressions on March 24th indicates a direct penalty from the initial spam sweep. However, if the traffic drop shifts to March 27th, it signifies a structural demotion from the core update, evaluating the site's primary source value. This performance panel displays passing core web vitals. Before content is even evaluated, technical prerequisites like fast load times are completely non-negotiable for index recovery. Profound content depth and strong domain authority cannot rescue a domain that fails baseline technical latency checks. For decades, the SEO industry operated on the assumption that sheer publishing volume would automatically yield high domain authority. The reality of the modern search results page proves otherwise. A single, rigorously researched page authored by a verified specialist consistently outranks massive libraries built on thin, templated content. The most immediate strategic response is targeted refinement. Review the top 3 pages on your domain that lost traffic and inject exactly one piece of original, verifiable data into each of them. The tactic of reading the top 5 search results and summarizing what competitors are already saying is obsolete. You have to originate the answer. Webmasters must stop engineering their sites to be the most efficient middleman. To survive this architectural shift, domains must be rebuilt to serve as the final destination.